And with this, you are now dead. All I dropped was a cookie. Ah, cool robes.
I know. I killed that guy over there.
Oh, well, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Hey, can I borrow your sword a second?
Okay.
Stay. I got a cookie. Oh, it's chocolate chip.
In Pixel Glory Light and Shadow, you and your opponents are going through a dungeon attempting to kill the monsters, but only the last stab will give you the fame that you need to win the game. Now, this game comes in two different versions. There is a Light and a Shadow version, hence the name. Now here I have the Shadow version here, which has a slight difference from the Light version, which I'll explain in just a second. Otherwise, everything else in the game is the same between the two different versions. So, this is everything that you will get inside the game. Obviously, you get the instruction manual, which is very easy to follow here. Some great graphics and everything. So, you're going to get that. And then you're going to get everything that is shown here. So you will get the different elements of the basic attacks, the fire, earth, water, light, and shadow. You're going to get a deck of the non-basic attacks. You're going to get a deck of monsters. You're obviously going to get the boss monster right here, who is front and back for two different modes of play. You will get all these character health trackers, which are on these dials here, and I love games with dials. You will also get a tiebreaker staff that will be passed around in the first section of the game. You will get different cubes and hearts to track the monster's health. You'll get some reference cards. You will get some auction cards here. You will also get this card here, which will give you a quick setup so you don't have to go into the book every time to determine your difficulty level, or if you want to try the different modes of play, the solo or cooperative. It'll also give you a quick rundown of how those work as well. Now, the only thing that's different between the Light and the Shadow packs are these secret packs that you're going to receive. So you're going to get two of them themed to whatever version of the game that you have purchased. These two are Shadow themed. So if you look on here, it'll say on one pack that the secret pack is only to be opened by wizards deemed worthy enough, and you'll only open it if all the wizards have survived the dungeon. So at the end of the game, if all the wizards have survived, you go ahead and open up this pack. Well, the other pack has something similar, but just says do not open this pack until you are told. And I'll talk about a little bit about these later on, but I won't give you any spoilers as to what are in these. And of course, if you have the Light pack, you're going to get two of these mystery Light packs. I only have one of these because I was sent this along with the review copy so I could see what was in this one as opposed to what was in the Shadow pack. So let me go ahead and show you how we set up and how we play a game of Pixel Glory Light and Shadow. So first comes the town phase. And to set up the town phase, the first thing you do is you're going to give each player one deck of these 9 auction cards. So every player will get one of those. Then you will go ahead and set out these basic action cards, each in a pile of their own. You will give the non-basic actions or non-basic spells a shuffle here, and you'll put out 3 of those in a 2- and 3-player game. In a 4-player game, you would put out 1 additional card. And then you will take the tiebreaker staff and you will give that to the player who you think will have their kills most likely stolen from them. And they're going to start off with that. So let's just say that player 1 receives that tiebreaker staff. So we're just going to put that onto their side and they're going to hold on to that for now. The tiebreaker staff will be passed to whoever drafts last every round. So this will make the rounds around the table, and it may end up with a different player at the end of the town phase. In the town phase, what every player will do now is they will use their auction deck to go ahead and bid on the opportunity to take one of these cards first. So they will look at these cards that are right here available, and they will decide if they want a specific card and how much they want to bid for those cards, from a minimum of 1 to a maximum of 9. So once you use one of these cards, it's going to be discarded and it will be out of the round, and you will play until all of your auction cards have been used. So you will gain 9 of these non-basic spells. So let me go ahead and explain the wording and how some of these non-basic spells work. So we have Spark here, which is a fire spell. So on your turn, when you play this card during the dungeon phase, you're going to go ahead and do what the text box says in the order of the text box. So this says deal 1 damage. So you'll deal 1 damage to a monster of your choice, and then you'll draw 1 card. Simple enough. Now, this Call of Gaia has 2 different text boxes here. So when you play this card, you will generally just do the top box and the top box only, which is draw a card. However, if you have played that number of cards, which is the synergy number, so for Call of Gaia it is 4, so if you played 4 green cards or 4 of the earth cards previously, you'll get to do the bottom box only. You never do both boxes, but if you're able to manage to play 4 any of the green cards, any 4 green cards prior, you'll be able to do the bottom, which is gain 3 combo points. And I'll explain the combo points in just a second. Now, light is similar to the Call of Gaia, where it has 2 different blocks here. So the top one says draw a card and then deal 1 damage. The bottom, if you're able to do 2 of the light cards prior to playing this one, you'll be able to draw 2 cards and deal 2 damage. Also, if you look, each of the cards here has a number at the bottom, and those are when you draft that card, you will get that number of the basic spells of that type. So this is how you're going to build your deck. Now note that these numbers are different for all the cards, so each player may have a different number of cards in each of their decks. So how the round will go is that every player will go ahead and select one of their auction cards, and they're going to place it face down. Once everybody has placed a card face down, they're going to flip over their cards simultaneously, and then you're going to go and see who has won the auction phase. So we look here. Player number 3 has bid 5 coins. They are kind of running middle of the road here. They kind of want to see what's going to come out later. They don't want to use their high auction cards just yet. But both player 1 and player 2 have both bid 7. Well, you go ahead and look at the tiebreaker staff. Player 1 had the tiebreaker staff, so they're going to go ahead and they're going to beat that tie, and they're going to go ahead and bid first. So they're going to go ahead and discard their 7 card there, and then they get first pick of all of these cards. Well, they really like having that fire ability, so they're going to go ahead and take this spark card. And the spark card says that they also get 1 basic fire attack. So they're going to go ahead and take that, and they're going to add that into their deck. Now the next player is player 2 with their 7 here. And they're going to go ahead and they like the green card. So they're going to go ahead and take that. That gets them 1 of those basic spells. They discard their auction card, and they add those to their deck. And the last player, well, they're stuck with this light card. That's the only thing they can get. So they'll get this light card, and they will get 2 of those light basic spells. So you will continue until you have used all of your auction cards. And once that is done, everybody's going to go ahead and shuffle up their deck, and we're going to go on to the dungeon phase. So shuffling the dungeon phase, you're going to get rid of all of the other basic cards that weren't drafted and all of the non-basic cards that weren't drafted. And you're going to go ahead and get rid of all the auction cards. You're not going to need any of those. And every player will go ahead and shuffle up their deck. And to make sure every player has one of these handy reference cards, because it will tell you which spells are stronger against different types of creatures. Now you only have to worry about these bonuses one way. You don't have to worry about weaknesses and strengths. They only go one way, which makes it fairly easy. So if you use a fire spell against a creature, you're going to do 1 extra damage. Earth does 1 extra damage to water, water 1 extra to fire, light 1 extra to shadow, and shadow 1 extra to light. Remember, it's always +1 damage, not double the damage like a lot of the players that when I was teaching this game tried to do. It's always just +1. You go ahead and you take your dials and you're going to set them all at 0 combo points, and you're going to set your health based on how difficult you want to, what level you want to play the game on. Now 14 will be if you want to play a very casual game. If you want to go up to standard, you're only going to have 12 hit points in a 3-player game. And if you're playing on hardcore, you're only going to have 8 hit points per player to start off with. If you're playing in a 4-player game, those all go up by 1. So I just have this on the casual version of the game. So everybody's going to start off with 14 hit points and of course 0 combo points. You will then take the deck of all of the elemental monsters and you will go ahead and give those a shuffle up, and you will take 14 of those. You'll shuffle them up and place those right on top of the Dungeon Lord. Then you'll take 3 of those and then you will place them out. And these are the active monsters that we are attempting to kill right now. You'll go ahead and use these tokens to give them their health here. So we have a Picular. So the Picular has 5 health. If you manage to kill it, you're going to receive 2 fame points. And the Picular has an ability here saying that if you attack it, you will take 1 damage each time you damage Picular. And drink too much brine. And that's why you're going to get some damage from that. So that's just going to get 5. And these hearts are worth 5 points. So we have a Wisp here. And the Wisp here has 7 hit points. It is only worth 1 fame point at the end of the game. And it just has some fun flavor text saying kill 65,340,285 to reach the next level. Then lastly, we have a Mandrake who has 9 hit points, worth 1 fame point at the end of the game, and the Mandrake is the root of some evil. So 5, 6, 7 for the Wisp, and 9 there for the Mandrake. So the game starts off with whoever has the tiebreaker staff. So the tiebreaker staff was belonging to that player. So that player will go ahead and start the game. Every player is going to go ahead and draw up 4 cards to begin the game. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's take a look at what they were able to draw. So they drew a water basic attack, a shadow basic attack, and 2 of these green spells here. So they were able to draw up Spike, which they were able to draft in the town phase, which is deal 1 damage, and then deal 1 damage. And then they have Quake here, which is deal 2 damage, deal 1 damage. And it has this ability with a synergy of 2, which is 2, 1, and 1 damage. Well, they're not going to be able to do the synergy just yet because they don't have 2 other green cards. They only have this 1 other green card that they can play. So they're going to decide what they want to do to the monsters that are out there. So let's see here. What can they do? Well, they can go ahead and they can do some pretty good damage here. So they're going to first of all go ahead and use this Shadow basic attack. And they're going to go ahead and attack that Wisp. And Shadow does 1 more damage to any light creature. So this is going to do 2 damage to that Wisp. So they're going to go ahead and play that. So 2 damage to the Wisp, knocking that down to 5. And let's see here. They have... they can do a water attack. And they're going to do a water attack, let's just say against the Mandrake. Now, water is not strong against earth, so they're just going to do 1 damage to that Mandrake right there. And now they have these last 2 cards here. Since they know they can't get the combo here, they're just going to go ahead and use Quake first. So Quake says deal 2 damage, then deal 1 damage. Now because they are split on this card, that can be between 2 different creatures if they wanted. But they're going to go ahead and they're going to put them both on that Picular. So first they're going to deal 2 damage to the Picular, which is going to knock that down to 3. And because of its ability, you take 1 damage each time you damage the Picular. So they're going to go ahead and spin their dial down once. They now have 13 health. They're going to use that other 1 damage to the Picular. So they're going to spin down their dial down 1 more to 12 health. Then they have Spike, and Spike is deal 1 damage, deal 1 damage. Well, they're going to go ahead and deal both of those to the Picular to be able to defeat it. So they'll do both of those damage. Each of those damage were separate attacks, so they will take 1 and 2 damage, but they have defeated the Picular. So the Picular then goes into their area saying yes, that they defeated it. And a new enemy comes out immediately, which is a Game Shark. So the Game Shark has 6 hit points, is worth 1 fame point at the end of the game, and if you attack it, you remove any spell that deals damage to the Game Shark from the game. It might bite your save file. So that is a particularly nasty card because it pulls cards completely out of the game, out of your deck for the entirety of the game. So now at the end of the round, first of all, you check to see if you killed any of the monsters. Yes, that player did kill a monster, so nothing special happens. Then you go ahead and look to see if you've killed at least 2 monsters. Immediately, actually, when you kill 2 monsters, you go ahead and heal up 1 hit point. Well, didn't kill 2 monsters, so don't have to worry about that ability. So now let's go on. We're going to go over here to the green player. Let me draw up their cards here, and let's see what they can do on their turn here. Well, let's see here. They have a fire basic attack, a light basic attack, a fire basic attack, and flame. And look, flame has a synergy of 2, and we happen to draw 2 other fire cards. So if you play these 2 fire cards prior, we will be able to do this big flame damage. So let's go ahead and take this turn here. Let's see here. So we're going to do 1. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and we're going to attack that Mandrake because we know it is the root of some evil. And we're going to go ahead and get rid of that on this turn. So first of all, we're going to use a fire basic attack. So we're going to go ahead and play that. So fire is strong against earth. So fire's going to do 2 damage to that Mandrake. Then we're going to play another fire card. So that's going to be 2 more damage to that Mandrake. So the Mandrake is now down to 4 damage. So then they're going to go ahead and they're going to use their flame against the Mandrake. Now the flame, since they played 2 fire cards previously, they're going to use this bottom ability, which is going to do 4 damage. It's actually going to do 5 damage, 1 in excess. That is fine. That is enough to kill that Mandrake. So the Mandrake now goes into your stash. A new card comes out, which, is a Furnace Monster. Years of experimentation have resulted in a monster that can cook its own prey while it eats it. So the Furnace Monster has a health of 10 and is worth 1 fame point at the end of the game. So we're going to go ahead and put those on there. One last card here. We have a light basic attack. Nothing is actually this actually isn't strong against anything specifically, so they're going to go ahead and use that light basic attack, let's just say against that Furnace Monster. So they're going to go ahead and do that. So the Furnace Monster is down to 9 hit points. And yes, we killed a monster. We didn't kill 2 monsters, so nothing special happens. Now, if you do not kill a monster on your turn, you will lose 2 hit points. Boop, boop. Every other player would lose 1 hit point. But then, if you didn't kill a monster, after you've lost your 2 hit points, you would gain a combo point. And you go ahead and track that on there. Now, if at any point you have 3 or more combo points, during your turn, you can spend 3 of those combo points to instantly draw 4 cards, or you can use those combo points to go ahead and defeat any monster that you wish to. So it is a way to get rid of stuff like this Game Shark without having to get rid of any cards. So you will continue the game until either all players are dead or until one player is able to defeat the Dungeon Lord. Once the Dungeon Lord has been defeated or all players are dead, you go ahead and count up all of your fame points, and whoever has the most fame points has won Pixel Glory, Light, and Shadow.
Punchboard Media,
where we all
bring something to the table.
Pull up a chair at
punchboardmedia.com.
So that is Pixel Glory, Light, and Shadow. Now, there is a previous version of Pixel Glory that don't have the light and shadow elements in it. I've never actually played that version of the game, so this game was completely new to me when I was able to get a review copy of it. And I will say that I really, really love this type of game. I really like how it works. It's almost 2 games in one, and that's something that is really interesting and can kind of bring people in that like certain elements, and you can kind of trick them into playing a different type of game as well. The first game, the town phase, is where you're doing this drafting. So you're trying to figure out how to build your decks. Now, it all depends on how that first card comes out, maybe even the second draft, as to like, oh, I'm going to try to build up a fire deck, or I'm going to try to build up this deck. But hey, you might draw out 2 fire cards and never see another fire card able for you to draft. If you're playing in a 4-player game, though, you'll draft every card that is in the game. But if you're playing a lower player count, there are some cards that you just won't be able to draft because they just won't come out. So it gets pretty interesting. There are a couple of cards that aren't really super great, but they have a good synergy card, but they take a lot of cards to be able to do that synergize, and it's kind of a good thing to maybe try to stick a player that obviously doesn't have those cards to make those combos happen into their deck. So you're trying to outbid them to stick them with a card that they really don't want. So sometimes it's not necessarily about bidding for a card you want, it's about bidding for a card that you don't want and trying to stick it with another player. So that is something that is really, really interesting, and also trying to figure out how to get those combos and how to work them out, and hopefully they'll come out in your decks with everything to work out. Now, one thing I failed to mention there is that every turn you're going to draw 4 cards, and you're going to play all 4 of your cards. You can't really hold on to cards, but you can put a card into reserve. So you can tuck a card face down and say, I'm going to go ahead and reserve that card. And you can play a card from the reserve, or you can switch it out with a card in your hand. So you always have a little bit of play with something that you're doing. So you have a little bit of something that you can do. If there's a card that's like, oh, I want this, but I can't quite do a combo yet, I'm going to hold on to it, and hopefully I'll be able to draw up the cards later on to be able to do that really, really impressive combo. And then you go on to the dungeon phase, which is where you're actually killing the monsters. And that gets really interesting as well, because you're looking at your cards, you're like, well, I can take this monster really far down because I have all these really good things, but then that only leaves them with a little bit of hit points, and I'm pretty sure the next player would be able to kill it. Well, I want those fame points. I don't want them to get them, so I'm going to kill that monster. I'm going to go for this other monster. And it has that interesting feel to it. So you're kind of like trying to go as far as you feel comfortable, but you're still kind of holding back and trying to get those final kills for yourself, because if you're the one who stabs a monster and you're the one who kills it, well, then you're the one who get all the fame for it. So that is something that is really, really interesting and has a lot of interesting strategy elements to it that I really like about this game. Now, one thing you may have noticed is that I have all of my cards sleeved. That was because I noticed that when I was playing the game without the cards sleeved, they tend to be fingerprinty. They're kind of like a glossy coating on them. And I kind of picked up fingerprints very, very easily. So if you're playing with any particularly greasy players, that could have an effect on your cards. So I would recommend definitely going out and sleeving these cards. They're going to fit tight in this box, but I don't have much of a problem with them getting them all sleeved and everything, and then it just makes shuffling easier. And I like to sleeve card games like this, especially games that are going to get a lot of shuffling and a lot of wear, and I'm going to be playing this game a lot, so I definitely want to protect it as much as I possibly can. What else? The mystery packs. The mystery packs are something that is really fun and really, really interesting. Now, I'm not going to open these. I'm not going to spoil the surprise for anybody, but there are some very interesting cards in here. They're going to give you some more cards to play with and some more enemies to fight. And an interesting thing happens when you're able to have everybody survive and open this up for the very first time. So I definitely recommend checking out Pixel Glory Light and Shadows. Go ahead and pick that up when it is available at your friendly local game store or wherever you purchase your games. Also, I like this game so much, I'm going to go ahead and give it my Cloak and Meeple Seal of Excellence. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and help support Cloak and Meeple. Down below, I'm going to have links for my Patreon and Pod Pledge. You can go there to help support this channel. You can also go and buy a Cloak and Meeple shirt at geekygoodies.com/cloakandmeeple. And you can always just make sure you subscribe and like this video. Hit that bell icon, wherever that bell icon is. I think it's over there. Make sure you hit that bell icon so you know whenever there's a brand new Cloak and Meeple video out. Also go over and follow me on all the social media, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you can find me at Cloak and Meeple. And again, thanks for watching. Like that, you are now dead. Oh, it dropped a cookie. Oh, cool robes.
I know. I'm laying it on camera.
Sorry.